The state in the trial of former Tembisa police officer Nomia Ndlovu says it has proof of telephonic communication between her and two alleged hitmen. During cross-examination, state prosecutor Rianna Williams told the court that she's in possession of cell phone records which prove that Ndlovu made multiple calls to alleged hitmen Vincent, Kunene and Mkhize. Williams stated that the calls had been made just a few weeks prior to Ndlovu's arrest in Bushbuckridge, but in her defense, Ndlovu says she had never discussed any plans for murders with Kunene and that she only spoke to him to find out the whereabouts of her sister as she was unable to reach her on one of her phones. Ndlovu is adamant that she is innocent and did not hire alleged hitmen Mkhize and Kunene. The former police officer is accused of killing her boyfriend and 5 of her family members in order to fraudulently benefit from insurance claims amounting to over 1.4 million rand. Well, for more on this story, let's cross to my colleague, Hasina Gori, who's been following proceedings. Thanks very much for joining us, Hasina. Very interesting story, of course, indeed, and the nation is watching very closely. Tell us more.
Good afternoon, Nompu. Yes, as you mentioned, quite an interesting case that we've been following over the last few weeks. We've seen Nomia Rosemary Ndlovu here in the witness box, both at the Palmeridge Magistrates Court, where the High Court has been sitting, as well as the Johannesburg High Court for the last few days. We've seen a few delays as well as postponements due to the accused being ill. She did tell the court that she's suffering from high blood pressure and hypertension. Last week, a matter was postponed to this Monday, so to this morning, as a state prosecutor also fell ill on Tuesday. So we've seen that few delays, but we managed today to have that cross-examination of Nomia Ndlovu concluded. That also brought the conclusion of the defense's case. They've only called 2 witnesses, Nomia Ndlovu as well as her mum, who spoke very briefly when we were still at the Palmeridge Magistrates Court. Quite a lot of information coming out and evidence as well as testimony coming out during at least 5 days of just cross-examination. She is facing charges, as you mentioned, of a murder of at least 5 of her loved ones, allegedly for her to benefit from their funeral policies as well as life policies that she had taken out in their names. She's also facing conspiracy to murder or attempted murder charges for allegedly planning to have her sister Joyce as well as 5 of her younger kids burnt in their home for her to benefit and get the money from that policy. We know that the alleged hitmen both turned a state witness. They've given testimony during the state's case as well, talking about that sting operation as well as what led to her arrest. Today, the state prosecutor, Rianna Williams, brought cell phone records through showing proof that Nomia Ndlovu was in contact with the alleged 2 hitmen. She claims that she was friends with one of the hitmen's sister, and that is how she had their numbers, and they would use it to contact her if she couldn't get hold of the sister. It's also her version of events of why she was traveling to Bushbuckridge on the day that she was arrested, saying that she was traveling with the alleged hitman and his sister, who was a close friend, to get assistance from a traditional healer. Just some of the evidence. But what Ndlovu has been adamant about throughout her testimony is that she is innocent, that she did not plot or murder any of her loved ones. She did not benefit from their policies in a fraudulent manner, and that she did not plan to have her sister and her children also killed by the alleged hitmen. She is denied version of events that the state brought forward in the various different testimonies. What we do know now is that since there's only 2 witnesses that were called forward in her defense case, that they will now do cross-examination and closing arguments, on the 14th of October at Palm Ridge Magistrates Court. So that's what we can expect in the next few weeks.
Hasina, what about Ms. Ndlovu's demeanor in court? How has it been today? You did mention that she was talking about high blood pressure and all of that, but last week she was visible in her not wanting to be in court because she was saying she wasn't well. But what was her demeanor like today?
It seemed that the little break did bring her some kind of rest. She was a lot more calmer today. She didn't have her leg shackles or handcuffs. As we saw last week, she was a lot less feisty, I would say. But as always, she was reprimanded by the judge and the state prosecutor for not wanting to respond to the questions in the manner that they would want to. They have accused her of being evasive in some of her answers. So her demeanor itself today a lot calmer. We didn't see that slow walk that we saw last week. Also the visible illness that we saw her being a lot tired, sometimes fanning herself in court or telling the court that she was not well today, a lot less ill.
Okay. Hasina, thank you very much for your report there. My colleague there, Hasina Gori. Arts and Culture Minister Nathi Mthethwa has warned that those found guilty of the mismanagement of government funds will face the full might of the